Hello, everyone. We are all interdependent. Um, when I was doing ride share, that's one thing that I noticed from all my experiences with each ride. Even though there were rides where I was dealing with different personalities with the client, our clients, because sometimes I had a group of individuals in my car, and then there were most times it was just a solo mission with one person in the back seat. And what I noticed was that everyone needed each other. You know, that how businesses go. I mean, that's how life go. But as it pertains to ride sharing, if the client didn't have car issues or they didn't need a ride, then there would be no purpose for what I was doing, or those that are currently doing what I was once doing. Plus, I played a role outside of just getting a client to their destination because it was how I was treating them, customer service. Talking to the individuals when they got into the car, um, having more grace for when they were late, um, like going past the 5 minutes that were given for the apps that I was working on at the time. And it's all like a puzzle. You know, there were times where every now and then I got impatient when a passenger was late. But what helped me get back in the right frame of mind was that, hey, this could have easily been you, to where you called on the ride share individual, you were late. I just had to understand that life happens and understand that they were doing their part and I was doing my part. I was already doing my part in the sense that I was there. Now it was just on me to just wait because they were going to eventually come to the vehicle and be ready to go where they needed to go. And sure enough, more times than not, that is what occurred. Even the clients that would get in my car and they would complain about their day. Okay, let's not use the word complain. They would vent about their day or things that they didn't like. That was fine. But even while listening to them, once they concluded with what they were saying, I always thought like, but you need the job needs you. And I always thought like, hey, they're not holding you captive. You can always leave because, you have free will. However, there are consequences with you leaving. Have necessities, things that need to be paid. But again, if we weren't all interdependent, then none of these things would be possible. I mean, as far as ride sharing go, communication, comfortable. Well, let me retract. I don't even think being comfortable was really a major thing because if you need to get somewhere, you really don't have a way there. You just kind of like hoping for the best, praying to the Most High or whatever supreme being you believe in or don't believe in, right? But it just kind of always kept me aware and appreciative. And that's one thing that I learned from some of my passengers. Reiterated that some people spoke as if it was just them. Like, they were making everything happen. They were sitting in the back seat, but they were driving the car. Not in the literal sense, of course, but just in they make the world go round. And, there's nothing wrong with one thinking highly of themselves because I think we all should. But as it pertains to us being interdependent, like that has to cross the individual mind at some time. Like, for example, when I was doing rideshare, if there was an issue with my car, we couldn't go nowhere, hypothetically and literally. We couldn't go nowhere, which would be an inconvenience for me and the client because the client, depending on the schedule, depending on what's wrong with my car, they would have to take another rideshare opportunity. Uh, true story. I picked up a couple individuals. I was taking them at the time, like near Grapevine Mall, and my tire blew out. So of course I had to pull over on the side of the road, well, in the parking lot at a restaurant. Then I changed my tire, and we were back on the road. But in that moment, I asked them. I was like, "Hey, do you all want to call another rideshare applicant?" Of course, you go into the system, cancel the ride, and all of that. And then they was like, "No," they would wait. I told them, "Okay, cool," and I got done what needed to be done. But again, in that situation, we were all interdependent. They trusted me. Situation happened with my vehicle. I was proactive. I told them when I noticed it. When we got to the establishment to where I had to park my vehicle and change my tire, I communicated with them, in which they already knew what they could do. I just was proactive. And they did their part, was like, hey, now we're going to just wait, um, which I was grateful for, of course. Tire got changed and we were back on the road. The thing is this, though. If I would had the mindset of, hey, it was just all about me, then I wouldn't have said anything. I would have just pulled over, you know, and when they would have asked, hey, why are you pulling over? I mean, there was many rude things or unprofessional things I could have said, but it was no need for all that because it was so unnecessary. It was unnecessary. Excuse me, to behave like that. It wasn't warranted. So yeah, like I said, I just let them know, and then again they communicated with me that they were fine. That's the part of being interdependent. That's an example. You know, um, Again, one of the most normal examples is anyone that has done rideshare, maybe from driving the vehicle or be just riding in the back seat. When you're running late, you know, there's been times I've had individuals shoot me the text through the app. I've had clients at the time call me on the phone and say, "Hey, don't leave me. I'm coming." I had to get my kid. I'm hurry up getting dressed. I overslept. Yada yada yada. Right. And in most of the situations, I understood. And I was like, okay, I'll wait. And it was so many benefits of me waiting. You know, I just, one, they were grateful and thankful. Two, I heard stories about how they were always left, which let me know that most people are impatient. And then another thing that was positive, they were upbeat, very spirited. So let's say that ride we ran into some traffic or it was an accident. They was nonchalant. They weren't mad. They weren't complaining. And lastly, they always tipped me and gave me a referral and they thanked me, and I was like, hey, no problem. I understand. And as I told some of them at the time, like, hey, I was once in your position, you know, where things happen. I never wanted to be late. Most times I was never late when it came to ride share just because it's just me. I didn't have no kids or nothing like that. I don't have any. And so, yeah, that's the beauty. People just have to remember. Anyone in the ride share field, in the ride share hustle, business, career, we're all interdependent. You know. Speaking of that, I think the applications, the owners of these apps, they need to take that in with their customer service protocols. They need to understand that hey, it's a two-way street. Sometimes the client gets it wrong. Sometimes the client is fabricating. Sometimes the client is false advertising. Sometimes they're lying. You know, just imagine when I was doing that. If I had the the spirit to just call the app and say, "Hey, this client said this, and that." I could say they said something unpleasant to my ear, or they were cussing, or They were on the phone the whole time talking loud, you know, or they asked me to sit in the front seat. All these things are, depending on how you look at it, I think it's major things. One can say that it's minute, but the small things can turn into vast things, as we all know. But yeah, it's just, like I said, we're all interdependent. And though I'm no longer doing ride share because I'm a former ride share driver, in the future I'll probably take ride share. Um, and I always keep in mind and know that, hey, that we're all interdependent. I'm dependent on the man or the woman driving me to get me there safely and in a quick way. Because I want to get there and get about the vehicle so I can get on moving with everything that's going. Again, yeah, just wanted to let you all know that. And again, anyone that has participated in rideshare, consider doing it, or once did it and no longer doing it because they got fatigued of it or it served its purpose for the season, just give me a comment below. Um, if you're an individual that's working on your goals or need some motivation, some self help, or to just understand that you're not alone, feel free to click the link below and purchase my book. It's on Amazon. It can help you, and if it can't help you, it can help a friend. And if you have a friend that you don't think it could help, I'm sure you have an enemy, and it can definitely help your enemy. So that is all for today. Like, share, and subscribe, and have a good one. Peace.